Speaking of people who can't close right now, the Miami Heat look pedestrian at best right now.
Yeah, they have not been looking good lately.
Mm-mm.
I mean, they're still in second place in the East,
Mm-hmm.
but they're now much further. They're considerably further behind Chicago. I don't know that they look like world beaters. They got schooled by the Oklahoma City Thunder the other night, and not just outshot like we've all talked about how the Thunder can do, but the Thunder shut them down. Kevin Durant turned into a defensive beast as well as an offensive beast. They do not look good.
No, and I believe they lost tonight by double digits. All
I
of a
mean,
sudden,
yeah, they're 7-3 in the last 10 though. Let's not write them off.
they, all of a sudden they've had a case of the turnovers. They had 20 turnovers against Oklahoma City. I think they had like 15 today. Every team has this. It's a shortened season. At some point your brain's going to detach a little bit. We'll talk about this in a second, but it says a lot about the Hawks who played a back-to-back-to-back. Then at the end of that, played a quadruple overtime. The seasons kind of has a little bit of a weird quirk to it, and I'm not too upset with like if the Heat don't perform in a couple of games here or there.
Yeah, and this will be. There's always these little mini stories about the Heat or the Bulls or the Thunder or whatever. The only thing that matters about the Heat, we've been saying this all season, is what happens when the playoff starts.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they're in the top couple of slots at the end of the season, and they can have mostly home series, especially in the early rounds where there's a danger something weird will happen, then I think the only thing that'll matter is whether or not they can play well. Orlando is now in the third spot. The Sixers have dropped significantly. In fact, the only reason that the Hawks aren't already ahead of the Sixers in the standings is that they haven't played quite as well. They played as many games. I don't even understand why they're not. I'm sitting here looking at I guess it's just a divisional question because the Hawks are behind the Magic. But right now, the 76ers don't look great. Do you think the Hawks win the other night in quadruple overtime, third longest NBA game of all time? Do you think that is any kind of an indication of how the Hawks are going to do in the postseason?
Joe Johnson's playing good.
Yeah, now.
Johnson's playing good. He's healthy, which apparently was not the case earlier in the season, maybe a little bit in last season. Josh Smith is playing good. When you have guys who know roles, that's important. I think for a while the Hawks kind of hadn't had that. I think for whatever reason the Hawks kind of felt like Horford does this. Their roles weren't good and didn't mesh well. I don't know what to make of the Hawks. They're 30-20. I know they're good. I just don't know how good. But nothing on that team makes me think that they can compete with the Heat or with the Bulls. So I'm not really sure. I don't know what I'm looking at when I see the Hawks. Like when I see the Knicks, I see upside because of who they have. I know Amari's out right now, but they've got Carmelo. Linsanity has not played very well recently. And Mike Woodson is committed to defense. But I feel like that team's upside is higher than the Hawks because if you have Amari healthy,
not this season.
Carmelo,
Not this season.
What do you mean?
Their upside is not higher this season.
No, I think the Knicks' upside is higher this season.
They're going to play the Bulls in the first round, dude.
I understand that, but if you're the Bulls, who would you rather play, the Knicks or the Hawks?
The Knicks every day, all day?
No. I do not want to play a team that has Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony.
I thought Amari's out for the season.
Huh?
I thought Amari's out for the season. Am I wrong
No,
about that?
He's out indefinitely. They're just trying to figure out what's up with the bulge in his back. That doesn't mean he won't be
I
out.
have one of those bulging discs. It's not fun.
Well, I got a bulging disc. Ow!
Oh, nice. Look, everyone who is not a longtime Atlanta Hawk fan can shut up about whether or not the Hawks are good. They do this all the time. They make a run. The national media shines a light on them for the second and goes, oh, look at the Hawks. They're really good. If Joe Johnson shows up in this year's playoffs, that will be the first time he has ever showed up in the playoffs as a Hawk. If Josh Smith can continue this level of effort, it will be the first time that has ever happened as a Hawk. They break our hearts. This is what they do. Right now, they are slated in the playoffs to play Orlando. If the playoffs started tonight, they would lose that series. I await the Hawks showing me they have a heart, and I await Joe Johnson showing me that he can show up in the playoffs. It's never happened before. I've never seen it. I refuse to believe in it until it happens.
I think they could beat Orlando just because of there's something about the way the Hawks match up with them. I think
the Hawks are 14-13 on the road.
Sure,
and they are in the bottom half of the playoff rankings.
That's fine. All right, I want to talk about the ceiling. If you look at the rosters comparatively, you'd rather have the Knicks roster as opposed to the Heat's roster. I'm sorry, the Hawks roster. I'd rather have Carmelo, a healthy Stoudemire, Chandler in the middle, JR off the bench, Shumpert off the bench, Linsanity, whatever he might be, JR Fields. When I say the ceiling for the Knicks is higher, they have a better superstar player than the Atlanta Hawks. They also probably have a better number 2 player in Amari Stoudemire. They have better talent off the bench with J.R. Smith and Shumpert. I can really see the New York Knicks beating the Chicago Bulls because of the level of talent that they have. They may not have played up to par, but they've got more talent. You could understand a scenario in which the New York Knicks make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I can't imagine a scenario in which the Hawks do that because the Hawks only have 2 players you truly care about.
Yeah, well, look, the only reason that you say that is that when you list those players individually, they sound like great players. I'm unconvinced that Amari is a great player anymore. Let's see. I mean, his injury now is kind of evidence of where he's at. I'm unconvinced that Carmelo Anthony can play at a high level within this particular cast of characters. He's certainly not playing very well this year. If you list that list of Knicks players and you say how great they are, your evaluation is really based on things they've done in previous seasons and not things they've done in this season. Whereas, Joe Johnson's finally playing well. Josh Smith has had arguably the best season of his career.
Sure.
Teague is playing a lot better than he has before, partially because he's been given a chance to play on a consistent basis. If Horford comes back and gives us any kind of contribution, they've got a bit of depth. You're not going to hear me making arguments for the Hawks, but to say that the Knicks are going to beat the Bulls, that they have a real shot, I have a hard time believing that. I just feel like you're right. Carmelo can light up for an evening, but can he play well with that cast of characters? Can they play well as a team?
The thing is that you've got Mike Woodson coaching, and this sounds funny, he runs an offense that's built around a superstar. When he was here in Atlanta, it was Joe Johnson in the fourth quarter, everybody get out the way. And that, to some extent, that's what it is now. And look at the Knicks since, D'Antoni was fired. I think they've lost maybe 1 game or something like that.
They've played a lot better since D'Antoni was fired, but you're really not going to hold Mike Woodson's record as a coach in the playoffs or late in the season up to me as an offensive scheme. We had no offensive scheme at all. You're right that he took a player in isolation and tried to get him to play. That is a losing strategy, especially when the player is Carmelo Anthony in the midst of one of the worst seasons of his career, and you are talking about one of the best defensive teams in the league in the team of the Chicago Bulls. That is not a winning strategy. It destroyed me to watch Woodson never call plays that were successful more than once. We couldn't pick and roll. We couldn't do anything. That is not a recipe for winning.
Here's what I'm going to say. If you look at the players on each team
individually, based on their past performance.
If you look at the players, the Knicks have the better superstar. I think that goes without saying.
He's the better. Okay, yeah, you're right. Carmelo Anthony's better than Joe Johnson. That's true.
Yes. My argument is that talent means you have a higher ceiling. The Hawks are what the Hawks are. They're not going to play any better than what they're playing. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. But if the names that I listed for the New York Knicks all of a sudden started playing like the names you know them to be, would they not be better than what they are?
Well, I don't know them to be that. You're right. If all the players for the Knicks started playing as well as they have in the past, then they'd be a fantastic team. But I don't think Stoudemire is ever going to play that well again. I don't think that Carmelo is capable of playing well in a system like this or well with this cast of characters in a way that empowers them to play well, and the big guy in the middle is not playing it remotely like he was last year. They are not built as a team to play well against a team in the Bulls that, say what you want, plays as a team.
They do play as a team.
I mean, the talent thing.
I have not made the argument that the Knicks beat the Bulls.
Yes, you have. You said they've got a real shot at it. You said you can see that.
They have a real shot at it. They've got a better shot than the Hawks.
That's just wrong.
You think that if the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks met in a 7-game series, the Hawks would win?
No.
Okay.
We're talking about. No,
it
doesn't. I don't think the Knicks have any shot to beat the Bulls.
Wait,
I think the Hawks could play the look. The Hawks could play the kind of series against the Bulls that they've played against the Celtics in the past, and that is to make that a 7-game series. I think ultimately they'll lose because Joe Johnson has no heart, but the Knicks have no shot.
This makes no sense. You literally just said 5 seconds ago that the New York Knicks would beat the Atlanta Hawks in a 7-game series.
No, I didn't.
Yes, I did. I actually you said the Knicks would win.
I said the Bulls would win.
No. Here's my question. If the Knicks played the Hawks...
Oh. No, the Hawks would win that series. They would win that series they would win that series in 5 games.
Really?
Yeah.
You're insane.
The Knicks are not. Look, dude. Look at the way they've been playing.
Okay, no.
The Knicks are 500 basketball.
Hey, can you look and see how many games
11 points higher than that. What?
How many games are left for the season? We need to make a bet on this.
Right now, it depends on which team you're talking about, but there have been roughly 51 games played, so about 11 games left.
How many games behind are the Knicks than the Hawks? Or who, you know what I'm saying?
The Knicks are 25-25. The Hawks are 30-20, so they're 5 games behind.
No, it's not enough games to make that. I was going to make the bet that the Knicks will catch the Hawks, but
that's not going to happen.
There aren't enough games.
Look, if Stoudemire is out, I think there's a real chance that New York will fall out of the playoffs. They are as close to the Hawks as they are from being out of the playoffs.
How many games are already on the 9th seed?
They are 5 games up on Milwaukee.
Yeah, I don't think Milwaukee's anywhere about that.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I think the Knicks are probably going to end up in the 8th seed where they will get housed. Look, when the playoffs come around and the Knicks are playing the Bulls,
who are the Hawks scheduled to play?
Right now, they're scheduled to play the Magic. I mean, if you're thinking about making a bet about who wins the more games in the first round, that's a terrible bet because the Hawks are playing Orlando, and the Knicks are playing a much better team. You're screwed on that bet. The Bulls are going to destroy the Knicks.
Okay, all right. Over under 1.5 wins for the Knicks in the playoffs. I take the over.
I will take the under as long as Stoudemire is still out.
No, come on.
I mean, that is a big piece. If
Stoudemire's out, I'm still taking the over.
Okay. We'll see. We will see what happens when the playoffs roll around. We have talked virtually nothing at all about the Western Conference, where my San Antonio Spurs, who just put a designation on Duncan, did not play old, which is one of the funniest things ever. And Duncan still managed to get a technical in that game. They are playing real well. The Lakers are all of a sudden much better than they were. They're in the 3rd seed, and so they're playing a lot better than they were, although they periodically look terrible. Is anyone showing you anything in the West to indicate that the Thunder aren't going to run away with it?
No.
I wish I could say I thought the Spurs were had a shot to beat them. I really don't think that.
No, I don't think the Lakers can.
I mean, Oklahoma City's going to run roughshod over Denver.
Yeah.
They're going to, I think Oklahoma City will run roughshod over Dallas. The Clippers are an interesting matchup for them, but I think they'll still run roughshod over the Clippers. And then I think the Lakers always have a chance against anyone, but I don't think they have a good chance this year against Oklahoma City. The Spurs have a chance against Oklahoma City, but it's not a great chance.
They've got a chance. I just don't know what that chance is.
All of a sudden, I'm starting to believe in the Thunder, and I'm starting to believe in them as a possible NBA champion.
Yeah. I'll stick with the Heat. I'm not going to be a prisoner of the moment.
No, I mean, I didn't say I'm there. I said I'm closer. I still am calling the Heat. All right, well, that was our podcast for this week. We're going to do this more regularly now, especially as things start really getting heated up. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming out, and we're going to be doing what we did with the last major podcast, which is splitting this one up into smaller segments. So, tell your friends.
And don't forget to wear your hoodies.
That's right, wear your hoodies. And we will see you next week.
All right.